How do they make a sequel out of this? How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Hope your day is comfy, cozy, warm and dry. And if it's too warm, cold somewhere, it's starting to run out of openings. What do you want from me? Speaking of cold and wet, did you see the movie starring Sarah Michelle Gellar and Bill Pullman that was supposed to be a remake of a Japanese horror movie blew up off the screen? Didn't make much in terms of money or criticism, definitely made an impression. Well, surprisingly, that movie got a sequel, unbelievably. 2006's The Grudge 2, done by the same people. Actually, I should probably check that. Takashi Shimizu, but with a few fresh faces this time. Still starring Michelle Zellweger? Fuck. Still starring Sarah... There's gonna be a tongue twister. Still starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. That was a real tongue twister, so do not fault me. And bringing in some new victims. Tamblyn, Arielle, Kebbel, Edison, Chen, Sarah Roemer, Matthew Knight, Teresa Palmer, Masako Une, Jennifer Beals, and Christopher Cousins. Set immediately after the events of the first film, where we apparently see exactly what has happened to the characters and how the curse still lives on. But comparing this to number 1, is it a true sequel? How does it hold up against its original? Let's kick it into the good. So the very first thing that I noticed, this starts off a lot stronger than what the first one did. I managed to feel more enjoyment out of this one than I did the first one. This had a good pace. It managed to be able to keep it interesting throughout each of the different things that were being done. That opening, brutal. If you were to just watch the opening, you would think to yourself, did I put on The Grudge? Or did I put on Domestic Violence R Us? It has blood, and that's all I can ask for. First one didn't have shit. The location makes sense. Now bear in mind, this story takes place in the same sort of style that number 1 did. 3 different tales being told in a split timeline. If anything, I actually preferred this timeline to the first one. You could tell where certain things were whenever there was some confusion, follow it up and give you a proper answer. Tamblyn was very good in her role. The way that she carried herself whenever something dramatic came on, she wasn't a blank slate. Unlike...
I just want to go home.
The other main characters. Real emotion and feelings that she was trying to display. And it didn't feel forced. On par with how someone would normally react. Little bit of a problem, the starting scenes with the school kids. Little bit of time was necessary to sort of build into their characters, but by the end of it, they pay off pretty big. In terms of payoff, Sarah Michelle Gellar's back in this. Playing a much better role than I ever would have expected her to play. The tense moments are real, and you need to get the hell out of there. Not leave the movie, feel like you're in her shoes. Still feels as if the grudge is on her and that there's no escaping it. And you do feel that. The different shots, the grudge is on screen, they've got the body contortion down a lot better than what it was. The way that she was able to snap in and out of camera, flashings going on, her head literally out of a tub. The way that they managed to put this film together, they cared about what they were making. There were shocking moments, there were memorable moments, there were things that really grabbed me, fully invest my time all the way to the end, enjoying myself. Really good random cutaways. Having a sudden grab, camera turns around, suddenly they're in the house. It's a good, what the fuck feeling, instead of a, like, what? The twist got me by surprise. Utterly bewildered by the ending. I had no idea that it was going to happen, and I really do hope to God they're not planning on continuing this. It had it from the character's perspective. Different scenes happening in real time as if you're the one who is actually looking at it. Little things that made the movie enjoyable. There were a lot of things that really annoyed the crap out of me. I thought that I had put on the first Grudge. The opening is exactly the same. Those initial words come up and you start reading it, that you have a bit of deja vu. Exactly the same words that were said. They could have added on to it, but a curse never dies. Some of the decisions that the characters made in this were not very smart. You gotta give it your all. This suffers from the exact same problems that it did in the first one. There are missing scenes that make you think, did I miss something here? Scares happen, the characters don't know what the hell went wrong. A scare will happen and they'll immediately forget. Exactly the same thing that happened in the first one. If they had speculated this was supposed to be to do with an amnesia effect or something that had caused this, it would have made more sense. Going off of what the person thinks as their initial reaction, subtlety is not this movie's strong suit. The music likes to take over. If it had the ability to become a walking, talking person, it would stand in front of the camera and stay there for the entire time. Even during scenes that are not supposed to be scary, it is there and it is blaring in your goddamn ears. Can you turn it down, please? Thank you. do it once more, I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna smack you. You've got a scene that is literally taking place in the shower. Don't repeat the same formula over and over again. That's not what made the movie what it was. A scene that would repeat itself, or on the cusp of repeating itself, where they did repeat the same formulas. Goes off of what it learned from the first one, doesn't actually change anything about what affected it in the first place. The CGI, bad. Again. The camera is trying to make sure that the creature is in the background. Toshio, he was mostly in the background. I think it was only one shot that I saw him in the foreground, and it wasn't a good shot. This kid literally just put face paint on that morning. Time to go to work. There were scenes that worked really well with how the Grudge's makeup looked. A lot of scenes that didn't work well. The CGI was one of them. Adding into all of this, I still really enjoyed it. The confusion on my face is probably just as much as you guys are right now. It did something fresh. Might have copied off a lot of things that the original had. Might have introduced the same sort of people and had the same sort of location. It gave us a new perspective and a fresh way of showing the Grudge. Still adding into a continuation, still has its problems, but at least it keeps you invested until the very end that this sort of a franchise might have some hope. It wasn't fantastic. Certainly wasn't bad. But at the end of the day, if you enjoyed it, then that's all that matters. A few little problems here and there, that doesn't stop the movie leaving an impression on you long after it's finished. That's why The Grudge 2 gets... Now, I always like to end my reviews with a quote from the film. The first one, I couldn't actually think of a proper quote because of how forgettable it was. This one had a few little moments to it. Come on, sweetie. Time for your bath. I can't come off the screen because that the chair is set up and the camera in the bookshelf just sinks into the water. It was a good creepy way of doing it. You'll know it when you see it. But that being said, did you see it? Will you see it? And if so, let me know in the comments. Until then, I've been DJ. And always remember, did you see it? I'm surprised that 2 was better than 1. Time to move on to bigger and better things. There's a third one. I'm sure it's not going to be bad. Still starring Sarah. Fuck. Still starring Sarah. Still starring fucking hell. Still starring Sarah. Still starring Sarah. Still starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. Still starring Sarah Michelle Why do I keep thinking it's Zellweger? Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Still starring Sarah Michelle Zellweger. Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar, mate. Still starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. That was a real tongue twister, so do not fault me. Still starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. Now I can fucking say it. Unbelievable.